Yo, 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 yo. It's your boy Leroy. Got my guys Zach and Trev here with me as
What up,
usual.
man?
Appreciate everybody who's coming through tonight. We are live on YouTube. Go check us out. Also on Facebook Live. Go check us out. Kicking with the Crew Facebook page. But how my guys doing this weekend, man? How y'all doing?
Good,
Good,
bro.
man. Playoff basketball's on. Playoff hockey's on, bro. It's been sitting on the couch watching sports all day. I know y'all been kind of doing the same.
Basically, yeah. I've been watching. Woke up my first shift schedule, so like I wake up at noon every day. So forgive me. So I woke up at noon, ate a bowl of cereal. Was like, oh, Pacers play at 1. Watched the Pacers this morning, and then
Dominate.
yeah, dominate. Oh, whoa, oh.
Yeah,
That's my food.
I actually I didn't get started watching until a little bit later on because I've been trying to work on myself, lose weight and stuff. So I got up, started working out in the morning.
Hell yeah.
Then after that, I had to go over to the other side of town, go pick up my championship gear.
I seen that, yeah.
I had to go pick up my championship gear. And then we went to a little Easter egg hunt for the kids. So happy Easter out there to everybody.
yeah,
We
man.
will see you guys on Easter. So happy Easter out there to everybody. Did that and then came back home. Kids went outside and played. And then I really got locked in on some of the games. But obviously, me being huge on sports, I'm staying updated with everything. So saw the Clippers Nuggets game, which was
Great game.
fire.
Great game.
Pacers and Milwaukee, which already knew how that was going to go down.
Ass whooping.
Sirs in 4, just so everybody knows.
I got him 5.
I'm not a Pacers fan, but Sirs in 4.
We'll take you aboard, man. We'll take you aboard.
And then we got Detroit and New York going at it right now. And Detroit,
I hate both of them. They could tie.
Detroit is playing physical right now. But yeah, man. So liking it.
And the draft's right around the corner, man. Obviously,
And
we're
then
going
my
to talk
Lakers
a lot
start
about
next.
that today, but draft's right around the corner, and then best time of the year for basketball and hockey, playoffs going on. So yeah, it's a good time for sports fans.
Absolutely, yeah. And then my Lakers get started next, and we are here for the draft. So as we get this jumping in here, we already got our first question coming up here from Nathan. Appreciate you coming in, Nathan. He says, "Hello, Campbell at 14. If Warren not there, we need a linebacker."
I think
we talked about it a couple times. If you go linebacker, that's the guy to go. That's where you go.
He would be the one, but I think there's so much depth at this linebacker position. You can get a great one in the second round.
Now, I think I agree with you. I do think
you can get like if you do go linebacker in the first round, Campbell's that guy. I don't know of another linebacker I would take.
Jalen Walker's comparable out of Georgia. He's comparable, but I think Campbell's just a little bit ahead.
Do you take the other dude from Georgia, the edge rusher at 14, who also played inside linebacker for them, was kind of their gadget player?
You talking Mondon?
Yeah, whatever his name is.
I think he goes significantly later.
Well, I mean, in my opinion, this is why I say that. If Warren's not there at 14, do you just trade down? I mean, do you take Loveland, the other tight end? That's just one of those things. Like, if Warren's not there, are we sure we love Campbell? Like, because I mean, I've not seen us do any type of interviews with a linebacker. Like, no top 30 visits, no nothing. It's basically all been either offensive line, D line, or a tight end. Like they brought Ewers in, and those were the top 30 visits not Campbell, Warren in. Those were the top 30 visits that I saw. And then beyond that, I haven't seen them make any type of other move for a linebacker.
Well, you got to think too, like around these times, sometimes they don't bring guys in for these workouts because they already know who they're taking, or they already know at that position group who they're taking, or have a plan. Like they might have already seen enough. So I don't want to read too much into those. I know Ballard loves
the top visits do not matter at all, man.
You don't think so? You don't think they have any type of?
We didn't even speak with Latu, and we drafted him.
That's what I'm saying. Like a lot of the time, I think you already know who your guys probably are, and then your top 30 visits, they can be relevant. Like bringing in Tyler Warren, I think that is relevant. I think you want to get a closer look at him if he's your guy. But I don't think it really tells you the whole story either. Because sometimes, like you said, Latu last year, like you already know the guy you want to take, or maybe you want teams to think you're not even interested in him, so you don't really affiliate with him until you turn that card in. So it very well could be the case. But I go back. It's a weird position we're even in, where our biggest needs are probably linebacker and tight end. Debatable. You can talk edge, you can talk defensive back. Biggest needs probably linebacker and tight end, and those are also, in my opinion, maybe the deepest positions.
Yeah.
Draft. So it's like
I wouldn't even say our biggest needs would be tight end, right guard, and then edge.
Sure.
Those are
Yeah,
our biggest,
well.
biggest needs.
Do you take a guard at 14? Because like if one's not there, are we committed to because the former fatty in me, I have no problem taking an offensive lineman at 14. Like I know it's not sexy. I know people don't like it. But if that Banks kid from Texas is there, why not? If one of them tackles is available and on the board, why not take him and say, hey, bud, you can slide inside and play guard this year? Like,
well, first is a question of if they can. Like, are we sure that a guy like Kelvin Banks can play guard? I mean, probably.
I don't
most
see
guys
why
can.
No way.
But you never know, right?
This dude just blew a wide open 2-hand dunk. I'm Thompson's brother.
That's why we don't watch the Knicks and Pistons. If you a Pacers fan, you understand. Sean says, watch us trade out of the first and get draft picks. We select Mason Taylor and Schlesinger in the second. I mean, that's kind of the point I'm making too, right?
That's the UCLA linebacker.
UCLA kid, great linebacker. And that's kind of the point I'm making, where it's like we could do something like that or go a different way at pick 14. Whatever we do, we can still fill our needs later in the draft. So I don't want Colts fans to get hung up on the idea that we have to take a tight end, have to take a linebacker at 14. Obviously, Jihad Campbell is very good. Tyler Warren has been my pick this whole time at 14. But those position groups are so deep in this draft. I think you can go a different way at 14 and still get quality players. Now, the same level, no, but it's definitely an option on the table for us.
Yeah, to go back to Zach's original question, if Tyler Warren's not there, like your original guy, I think we talked about this before. There was multiple guys that I would take at 14. Like there's quite a few guys that I would take at 14 that you don't just trade out of that spot for, and then just move back. Personally, I think there's quite a few. Obviously, there's guys that you love, guys that you like. And then you kind of get out of that spot and trade back and kind of get best value for what you got there. But me personally, I just think there's multiple that I could take there. My dream pick would be to take Will Johnson there.
Yeah, I agree.
If he's there,
I don't think cornerback is a huge need for us anymore. But the fact of what it could do for us to potentially have, we sign Ward, cornerback 1, then you get Johnson. You can instantly pencil that in as cornerback 2 and obviously have the competition there behind it. So that way we also would still have depth. And then also I think from there, your secondary is solidified. Then the rest of the draft is kind of open for which one of these edge. I know a lot of people have different edges and linemen that they like and stuff like that. But as I have mine here, you could easily take one of these pure pass rushers that could make it to the second round, such as like a James Pierce Jr., depending on where he goes. There's Mike Green, even though I know he has some issues. You got Jack Sawyer. I don't know if Sawyer's going to be first round. You got Landon Jackson, Mykel Williams out of Georgia. So there's a few other guys that you can go later on that could potentially be there that I think will be there around the second round to end up going in defensive end and shoring up that position as far as years down the road, and then also for this year. But I don't think just because if Warren was gone, do you not take a tight end? I definitely wouldn't. I say that would be a stretch.
Would you take Loveland in his place? Because to me,
at 14,
I'm not touching Loveland unless I'm trading down later in the first round. Yeah. And then I'm getting like an additional second or third round pick.
There's no other tight end I'm taking that early. There's no.
That's 1,000%.
So,
I agree. Just because
like
Loveland is one dimensional.
If I had to chalk it up right now, because I've been kind of trying to put my list together here of guys that I would personally take if we made it to 14, and I can rattle these off for you guys and just kind of see how you feel about them. But to me, if Shedeur Sanders, and this is outside of Tyler Warren, Shedeur Sanders, if he was to make it to 14, I'm taking it personally.
Yeah, absolutely.
there was some thoughts on Ashton Genty, but I just don't think there's a reason to take a running back at 14 personally. Go second round.
Not for us. No.
Then we go Abdul Carter, Mason Graham. Mason Graham. If these guys, no, these are just if guys were to make it to 14. I'm just saying if the guys that would make it to 14, if they did. So those two. Then we go to what was it, linebacker? There's Jalen Walker and there's Jihad Campbell. Two guys that I think that could perfectly lock into 14 and they can come in and get some playing time. Then you got Will Johnson, Jade Barron, and Nicky Manwari. Three guys that I think that I would take at 14 if I'm sitting there making that type of pick to say that 14 is still open for business. And Malachi Starks as well. He's another guy that I would put in there. So I think that if any of those names were to make it to 14, I see no reason why you should just jump out of 14. I think as many guys as I just named there, we can pretty much kind of just toss in some names that would likely go before there, and there's no reason why one of those guys wouldn't be at 14.
Right.
Yeah, we're in a good position, man. A very good position, especially you talk about like the quarterbacks. There's definitely two quarterbacks going. Abdul Carter's definitely going. Ashton Genty's definitely going. You assume one or two of those wide receivers are probably gone. One or two of those DBs are probably gone. Either way, like by the time it gets to us, there's still some cream of the crop players like a Tyler Warren, like a Jihad Campbell, hopefully like a Will Johnson or one of those type of players still available for us. So I've tended to agree this whole time where it's like if one of those names that you think is a tier A type player is available at 14, which they should be, you just turn in the card. You don't really think about trading back. You don't necessarily think about picking up depth, whatever. I think it's definitely doable. I think we're in a good spot to be in.
I agree.
Yeah, I just think there's just to a certain point where we got to stop thinking like, oh, we can trade back and get these value picks. Just in my opinion, just because of looking at what we've done over the years, we've traded back many a times and we've gotten mid instead of getting elite
better
or good. And so it's just like I want to sit there. If there's a talented guy that you can get that can come in and start on this team, I see no reason to trade out of that spot.
And just to be fair too, like if the return is good enough, I'll always take a deal. You know, if they're offering us something crazy, you know, a couple of seconds, a second next year, a first next year, whatever, you know, some kind of deal that's clearly leveraged in our favor, you don't necessarily pass up on that, you know. But if we're talking trade back 15 spots just to pick up an extra 6th round pick, that's probably not really worth it, right?
Yeah, I want to say like a team like the Giants, maybe. I think they got like a couple 2nd round picks or some other team. But yeah, that's just like where I would be at with that. Nathan says, "Well, give me Mike Green out of Marshall." I think that with his production, it's proven, but just with the sexual assault case, I don't know how in Ballard. I don't think Ballard not going to touch that with a 10-foot pole. So,
no.
I mean,
probably going to go undrafted.
The pick, but I just don't think that he would fit our whole character that we say. Ash says, "What about Darian Porter in other rounds?" You know, I think Darian Porter is a solid corner. I have him rated differently than some other guys. So, you know, just depending on where he could end up being at, probably, you know, I would say maybe 3rd, 4th round.
Yeah.
Wouldn't mind taking that guy, but still at that point, it's like, if you're taking him that late, what is he? Is he really going to be able to compete with Jalen Jones is the question. So,
or is he just a depth guy at that point?
Yeah, at that point.
Which, by the way, as a 4th round pick, you know, you're not upset if the guy's just depth for his rookie year, but we're thinking, you know, who can make an impact early on this team and really try to turn it around.
And that's where I want to be picking every single round. Like I want to be picking a guy that is either going to start or will compete to start. I think in these first 3 rounds, they have to be guys that are coming to compete to start or will most certainly start. And that's why I think Tyler Warren or Will Johnson are the 2 guys that I really love the most, because I know for a fact, like Jihad Campbell, I like Jihad Campbell. But my thing is like we have Franklin and we got Carlisle.
Right.
So it's like you draft Campbell, he can come in. I mean, like, okay, if he starts or
He'll
whatever,
play,
is he going to be like a Shaq Leonard? Because that's the type of linebacker that I want to see if we're going to draft that early. I'm not trying to see just a tackling machine. Oh, he's sideline. Like I need like a Luke Kuechly, Patrick Willis. Like if we're drafting this guy at linebacker, from day one, if we're gonna get that, then for sure I'm with it. But it's just like we have other guys there in the tight end room. We don't have a starter in the cornerback room. Yes, we do have a starter. But there's still competition between two guys, one that can't stay healthy, another guy who is like
inconsistent,
maybe or maybe not. And then there is that slight chance that Ward, maybe his play from last year could carry over. Not saying that it will, but I'm just like not trying to paint it all as roses for everybody that we signed. But in that case, if it doesn't, at least we would have a guy that can come in and we know what his talent is.
Right. No, I'm 100% with that.
So yeah, Darian Porter wouldn't be bad, but I'd like to make sure we lock up some starters before we looked at that.
It really is too. It's a good draft across the board, man. I mean, we're talking about a guy like Darian Porter, who I think could potentially compete for a starting job. I look at guys like Maxwell Harrison out of Kentucky as well, like Denzel Burke out of Ohio State. These are kind of later round cornerbacks that I think could potentially start or be in that kind of like third CB type role, where they get snaps at least. And these are guys projected to go pretty later in the draft, day 2, maybe day 3. So it is a good draft there. It's a good draft at linebacker, good draft at tight end, great draft at running back. Not that we need one, but you want to talk, a late round pick that we could get. You can get a guy that's going to get significant snaps at running back in probably the 5th, 6th round. I genuinely believe that. So it really is just a talented draft across the board. So I think in a lot of cases, right, you look at years past, if you're talking about getting a starter in the 3rd, 4th round, you're probably being a little optimistic. But this is a draft, especially with the needs that we have, like tight end, like linebacker, like defensive back potentially. It's doable if you play your cards right, if you fall in the right position. We need a little bit of luck, in those later rounds. You never know what's going to happen, but it is doable.
Depending on the position, I flat out believe you can get starters in the first 4 rounds, like depending on position. And the only position in this draft that I truly believe the Colts actually really need to address and give somebody is tight end. Like that's it. Like that's the only true need.
It's the only hole, right?
That the Colts really have in this draft. Right. Like obviously for me, offensive line, that's a big deal because we don't want AR to get killed. We saw what it did to Luck. But beyond that, like there's no other needs on this roster. It's all a bunch of likes or wants, like
I disagree a little bit. I think there's needs, but I don't think there's holes, right? Like I think we need a linebacker because we're thin. But there's not a hole there. We have guys, you know what I mean?
This is what I don't believe we actually need a linebacker. Like I believe you can go out and sign a vet who gets cut from a team cheap and he'll be just fine because you already know Carlisle is going to be a stud because Ballard doesn't draft terrible linebackers. And then you have the most amazing tackler ever in NFL history, and Zaire, like
as long as he's not on a podcast,
right? Keep a microphone out that man's mouth, and he's incredible. Like I have no problem with the linebackers we have. That's why I don't view linebacker as a need.
Nick's made the comeback. We got Rick Ackerman on the Facebook comment says we got to get a tight end with the first pick. And we also got Nathan saying here with Latu and Green at the edge, our edge group would be elite. But yeah, I don't know. Like I kind of like the same way you feel, Zach. Like the people that there's a lot of Colts fans that don't want to go tight end at all. They don't think Warren is like a Bowers, and don't think it's worth the pick or whatever. And basically thinks that Ballard would select Warren to make up for missing Bowers last year because he got drafted before him. But at the same time, it's like when you sit there and look at a room where you say which is the biggest gap. I mean, it's clearly tight end.
Yeah,
like I just said, you got Franklin Carlisle at backer. So that's also the way that I see it. Bless you. I just don't think that there's anything that says that you have to go linebacker. Now, obviously, if you think that it's going to be, if Ballard believes that's going to be that much of an upgrade in that room, then that's fine. I'm kind of with whatever with the picks as far as that goes. But I just think we can't miss on the pick. We got to stop missing on first round picks.
Yeah.
Yeah, 100%, bro, 100%.
Nathan says here, if Jackson Dart falls to you, push AR and Danny Dunn. Absolutely not for me.
No.
No. QB,
I
I'm
don't.
not.
Go ahead, my bad.
I'm not touching a quarterback this year. There's some guys I like. Dart is one of them dudes. That dude from Tyler Shaw or whatever it is
Out of
from
Louisville.
Louisville. I really like him, but I'm
And they've
not.
been cooking him for the last week.
I know.
He
I'm
had that
not.
one throw. Yeah,
I'm not pressing a
he
quarterback.
looked like me out there.
This is not the draft to do that. Like, I'll take one late, 7th round, 6th round, sure, if there's any available. But like AR and Danny Dimes are it right now. So I feel like that's irrelevant. Taking a quarterback is irrelevant unless Shador Sanders just falls into your lap at 14. And then if you don't take him, you deserve to be fired.
Right, and we had that hypothetical last week, right? Of if Shador slides, do you take him at 14? I think we pretty unanimously agreed. Yeah, you do. Jackson Dart is very likely going to quote unquote fall past us, and that's not a miss. You don't it'd be a reach if we took him, in my opinion. I think he's a late first round, early second round type pick, and not anyone. He's another project quarterback. That's the last thing we need. The last thing we need. And then I want to address the other comment he made too. He said, because we already know what AR is and he's a bust and can't stay healthy, so on and so forth. But I still feel like we don't, man. I still feel like we don't know what he is because it's been said 1,000 times before, but this is his first healthy off season, excuse me. Finally getting to put in some work, improve his game. So as crazy as it is going into year 3, I feel like we don't really know what he is yet. And this will be our chance to finally see. So I disagree a little bit, Nathan, man. I don't think we can really certify him as a bust yet. I think he's got this last chance.
Yeah, me personally, I don't want Jackson Dart. I think he's just like a great value version of Spencer Rattler. I
love
do
me
not
some Spencer Rattler.
He's
Zach Wilson, bro.
I don't know what people see. There's a lot of people who really like him and what he did in college and whatnot. I'm not high on Dart.
Hey, it's his anticipation, bro. He's got NFL level anticipation.
They said the same thing about. They said the same thing about Tua.
His arm strength.
Everybody's like,
his arm strength. Right, his arm strength isn't it, and he struggles with accuracy at times. But he has the one thing as a quarterback you can't teach, and that's capital A, anticipation. When the window opens, he's either on it or he's 2 people behind it, and more times than not, he's with it than he is without it. The problem is bro's arm strength is terrible, and
and what you just said though, that exact problem is when you go to the NFL.
It only magnifies.
You ain't got it. You don't have it. And
that's what I'm saying. He's a project.
That's why I'm like, as great as a college quarterback as he, all the years that he was able to put up, the numbers that he could put up.
Good college quarterback.
I'm telling you right now, when I watched that game versus Florida, it just it was rough. And our defense, it played well, but I just don't it was just. What are you doing half the game?
And this hurts me to say because I really like Dart. I love that offense that he ran with Kiffin because it was like a smorgasbord of college football, whatever you want to call it. It was there. And
that got him nowhere.
I get it. It's Ole Miss. All right, 8-4. That's what they do every year. But but I personally like Dart just because when he's on his game, he's elite. But I don't think he at the next level, like DeMarco's saying, I don't think he'll be able to put it all together to be elite consistently. So to me, the risk is not worth it trading down in the first or getting rid of the first altogether and getting an additional second and third and taking him in the second. There's no way in hell I would do that. There's other chippers, other factors that, I would want to use for the 14th pick, whether that's Campbell, if Carlisle's isn't ready, which who knows? That's why you play him to find out. And then, or Warren or to
There's a
hell.
lot of
I'll
ways,
even
a lot of ways you
I'll
can.
even take an offensive lineman at 14. I ain't against
know
that.
you would.
Like, I love
I really
taking
don't want to
trench
do
pisses.
offensive
I
line.
think
Well,
though,
I know it's not sexy, but that would, whether you like it or not, that wins football games. Like, that's
You
where
know-
I'm at with it.
Another thing that's crazy about a lot of Colts fans when they talk about like the offensive line, not you, Zach, but just some
Right.
conversations that I would hear. Like a lot of people want to take O-line personally because of the fact that we lost Will Fries. And it's like it's almost like people forget where Chris Ballard drafted a lot of these guys to sit here and be like, hey, take this guy because you lost this guy. Like, bro, we drafted Will Fries in the seventh round.
Yeah.
Like, why do we need to reach for a replacement? When we drafted Bernard Ryman, he was I think a third round pick.
Something like that.
Yeah, I
Fourth
want to
round.
say a third round pick. And it took him 2 years to develop, and boom, we have a starting
It's a second round
left tackle.
pick.
Okay, yeah, I thought it was second, but I
Second round
said
pick.
third just to be safe. But yeah, so it's like I just don't understand why we need to force these draft picks to one offensive lineman that Ballard took in the first round was Quentin Nelson, and he's a fucking gold jacket guy. And then he also drafted Braden Smith, who without his issues when he's on his uptick game,
One of the best in the game.
he's one of the best in the game. So it's like he didn't draft Ryan Kelly, but still was keeping that room together. Like I just don't understand.
It's a PTSD from Luck, bro. That's what it is.
That was
It's the
so long
PTSD.
ago, bro. It's
Our
just like-
offensive line has
It's
been
just like
so good.
linebacker, the way when people sit here and say, don't take tight end, don't take tight ends. Like, bro, Ballard gets linebackers, whether you don't like them or not. You can't
Right.
sit here and tell me that they're trash. Like, some of their games might have been trash, but they've been solid backers. Like,
for
nobody's
years.
ever
It's been a
sat
good
here and
year.
looked at linebacker and says
The-
it has to be premium.
The only miss he's had in linebacker is that dude he took from TCU. I don't even remember his name. And he
Banagoo?
stayed, Ben Banagoo,
Oh,
and he stayed on the roster for like 5 years, and we're all like,
Yeah,
how?
that dude was
Why?
collecting that. That was like, you guys know me. I'm opposed to cutting people on rookie contracts, but that was the one guy where I was like,
Couldn't
all
even
right,
go, yeah.
you
Yeah.
can
All right,
get
get
the
your
fuck
ass
out
out.
of here, bro. I
But
think
look,
what he
man,
had, he had like a half a sack through like 3
Yeah.
years or something like
3
that.
years. He had
Attaboy.
one tackle and a half sack,
That's
I
horrible,
mean,
man.
my
and
God.
still got paid from Dallas, bro. He's in Dallas making like $5 million a year.
For
Jeez,
what? He
man.
must
I guess
get
if
him
you-
a lot of Gatorade or something.
If you,
man.
I have
if you
no
stick,
clue.
If you stick around long enough, they'll pay you, I guess, huh?
Jerry
I
Jones,
think-
bro.
I think my main issue though, just looking at offensive line, you want to look at player ratings and stuff. If we're talking 14th overall pick, obviously I want to take a guy in the trenches later on in the draft. But at 14th overall, or even if we went back a couple picks, there's no guard that's really rated that should
That's
be around that pick. And then you talk about tackles sliding
Yeah.
over. It's certainly an option. You could do something like that, but I just think there's other ways we can go, man. And then get a guy
Right.
who's naturally a right guard later in the draft that would have been just as good as if you pick too early and try to slide a guy over and make him, do something he hasn't done before. Like that kind of move would make me uncomfortable. It could work, but I just think there's more quote unquote sure things. There's never a sure thing in the draft, but there's more close to a sure thing at other positions than there is there, in my opinion.
I'm just trying to think like Ballard because, as Ballard does in the draft, dude's
He's
not
gonna
going
trade
to
back then.
right. Dude's either going to trade back. If Warren isn't there, he's going to go with what he knows, and that's trench warfare. And then he's going to go get a backer. I definitely think he could get a backer in the second round. I
Agreed.
definitely think he could trade back and get a backer within the first round.
And see, Zach, to your point right there, that's exactly why I think people should stop overreacting to certain positions and saying,
Exactly.
I don't want tight end, or I don't want linebacker, or I
Right.
don't want that. I don't want that. It's like, I think you got to hold off judgment until you see how the pick develops and what comes
Yeah.
to fruition from these guys, because we really just don't know. And like, we can like try and think like Ballard, or we can try to predict our own draft. Like me personally, I do what I like. I like to just put stuff out there is what I think we should do, because typically when we
fans,
go back and look, I'm like, hey, look, whatever.
I did all right.
So
right.
but it's just
Right.
one of those things where I'm just like, the guy might turn out later to be something where it's just like, oh wow, that worked out definitely differently than I was
Yeah,
thinking. So I just think there's too many options, especially in a draft like this, where the depth is something that's like, okay, look, your first rounder, because the way this draft is kind of set up, outside of that like first 7, they might not be that guy, but some of your second through 6th could really be one of them ones. So
Right.
I just don't think there's a reason to just like be all
you
out.
don't want to you don't want to reach too far just because you're trying to hit that position, right? Like when you could get, as you said, a guy later on at that position who might blossom into someone. So it's just you got to avoid reaching a little bit.
Exactly. Nathan, just going back to that, he was saying because AR can't stay healthy and he's a bust. But I also think it's something difficult to put the bust on AR just because of the fact that he was always a project to begin with. So I just don't really see a reason to say bust. But he also came back here and rebutted to us there, Trev, is saying okay, so say this is AR's first off season, but what if he gets hurt? I can't trust AR staying healthy. And I think that's the question that we all have, Nathan. I think that's personally why Ballard ended up bringing in Daniel Jones. It wasn't as much as competition as the fact is that we need to see if you can stay healthy for 17 games, even if whatever else is going on. Like, I think if he just played bad over the last couple of years, but he was able to play 16 and 17, 18, playing all the games, then that it wouldn't be a problem. But the fact is that we haven't been able to see him to complete those 17 games to your point, is what they want to see from him. So I just think the bust is a little bit of tough to call just because of the fact that he was a project from the jump. Like, I don't know.
And it's easy to start to like get impatient a little bit and lose sight of that after, mediocrity. Like, I fully understand. It's been frustrating to watch. I think too, though, man, like you just I'm not sitting here saying AR is 100% without a doubt our franchise quarterback. I think there's a lot we don't know about AR. And I think there's a lot that we will see this year that will tell us if he is or not, right? But I think because we're in that position of we have a guy who might be the guy, which I understand as a fan is frustrating, but that's the position we're in. So it doesn't make sense to try to reach and get a guy like Dart or make these moves to try to get another quarterback who's going to be another project just to restart the same cycle. This isn't the time to do that, in my opinion. Now, if AR loses the job, he doesn't play well, or he gets injured again, so many things that could happen, and then he reaches that, quote unquote bust status, then I think maybe next year or whatever, you start to look at, do I draft a guy?
Just build the roster.
So on and so forth. Or you just completely blow it up, right? That's when you go doomsday. That's when
just build
a roster so we're not losing to a 3 or a 1, 2, 3 win team when the chips are on the line to end the season.
But again, build a roster. That's not where we're at right now, is my point, right? Like AR could still be a guy. Let's not blow it up right now, or let's not bring in a guy like Dart who's just going to be another project. Like let's wait it out, as frustrating as it can be, and let's kind of.
Well, I hope they both tie. I can't stand the Knicks or the Pistons, so like,
hey, it's a really good game. They go. Detroit went down, and Knicks is fighting back. Sean is saying here, I think first round is a bit lacking, not very many blue chips.
I agree with that. There's about 4 guys that I think are legit, and then everyone else is kind of meh.
Nathan says, how do we know Carl is ready to be a starter?
We don't, but you got to play him.
Yeah, I was going to say, I don't think we do, but I don't think that's the overall point of it. The time is when we saw him, he had some of the highest rated PFF grades. Not saying that I use that all the time, but if you go watch the tape, he could also cover. He was very good in coverage. Obviously, the game that he was a part of, our run defense, our defensive tackles did not play very well in that game. So that was something that could have been better. But the games that he did play, he played very well. So I just think that he could start, and it's just like any other time where we had somebody. When EJ started, we were like, is he going to be ready? I thought the way that Shaq looked at the time, and even when we had Shaq and Zaire, not Zaire, Shaq and Bobby O at the time, I thought our linebacking core was a little bit too soft at some time. So I just thought that getting EJ out there and Zaire, I thought it was a different mentality. I thought they had some dog mentality to them that's played with some physicality that we didn't really get, even though, that kind of was short-lived. But at the end of the day, I think that any linebacker that has stepped up in our room and came to play, like hell, even Grant Stewart came out and played, I think he had 19 tackles. You look at Segun, who played a couple games.
My boy.
I want to say he had like 9 tackles and a pick.
Playing well,
I mean, there's just there's no end to our linebacker room. Like, I really could care less what goes on in that room, and that's the same way I feel about offensive linemen. So like when people sit here and say we should go this way or we should go that way, there's only 2 positions I trust Ballard with in an NFL draft, and that's offensive line and linebacker. Outside 100%. Of that, like I'd really want to get the up end talent if I could.
Yeah. I think too with linebacker, I think sometimes like I'm gonna make a bit of an assumption here because we could still make moves there, obviously. But I think when you see that Ballard is comfortable letting guys go, in this case, letting EJ Speed walk, it tells you he probably trusts the guys there. And I know he's infamous for saying, I trust my guys, I like my guys, so on and so forth. But with linebacker specifically, I think you can give him some leeway and say, hey, if he was willing to let EJ walk and he thinks the next guys are ready to step up and take that job, I kind of have faith in that too, because that's been the trend there at linebacker. So I wouldn't be mad at drafting a guy, getting another linebacker, and I'm never going to be mad at that. But I do like the guys that we have as well.
My dad asked a question.
I was just about to say I wanted to get to this one. So
yeah,
your dad says Cecil Davis says so. Hunter drops because no team will play him both ways. Will the Colts? I don't even think the top 13 teams are going to play him that way. I don't think they should. I don't even think they should draft him. They should just pass on him.
Yeah, that's what we're doing there. Yeah.
I think he makes perfect sense at pick 14. I mean, it makes a world of sense. I'll tell you what.
He just makes perfect sense to be a Colt. It would be insane as hell if Hunter was to drop that low. But if he did play for Colts, we absolutely are playing him both ways.
That'd be insane. Yeah,
that'd be.
I don't know. This is where I disagree because I don't think he sees the field as a receiver on the Colts. Like
what?
I think he gets packages. I think he gets packages.
You have to.
Ashton Doolin can get some snaps at receiver. You will give Travis Hunter some snaps, bro.
Pittman Jr. 1, Pierce 2, AD Mitchell's in there, and downs.
He's taking AD Mitchell snaps.
Not in that order, but like Hunter's not seeing the field at receiver.
It's okay. Nobody's playing 100% of the snaps. It's okay.
I've always said he's a better DB than he is receiver. He won that.
I think so too. But he
won that Heisman Trophy because he was a DB.
No, he won it because he did both, bro.
Not because he was a receiver.
Hear me out, though. Hear me out, because I think Ryan Clark and
just because you can doesn't mean you should.
No, hold on.
I can go rob a bank anytime I want, but I shouldn't rob a bank.
How did we get here?
I don't like. Plus, to me, if I'm drafting a dude that high in the first round, what is he going to be the investment in going forward?
But this is why he's taking this.
He is an all-pro DB. Before he's a number 4 receiver in the league at best, bro.
Hold on.
Bro, he's a number 4 at best. He's a lockdown DB day one. I'm starting him at corner before I even demand touches of the receiver.
That's okay. I don't care where you want to put him. Just give him some snaps on the other side of the ball.
He can return punts if he wants to touch the ball. I'm not putting him on offense.
No. That's not the way you're gonna use him. No.
I feel like you're wrong on this one, Zach. And I gotta go back to this clip I seen. Hold on, hear me out, because I don't quote Ryan Clark very often. I don't like a lot of his takes, but I think he hit the nail on the head with this one, in that Travis Hunter is not a number 1 cornerback right off the board, and he's not a number 1 wide receiver. But
so why are you taking him?
Hold on. He is probably your number 2 at both positions. And if you don't let him do both of those things as one guy, then you're decreasing his value. If you only take him to be a defensive back, he's probably your number 2 day one, works his way up to be a lockdown number 1 guy. Maybe, I don't know. But he's probably your second best player at both of those positions, which I think people take that as a slight. But that's real. No one else is doing that, man. That's insane. So you put him on both sides of the ball. You give him packages on both sides of the ball, and you let him make plays. That's what the guy does. He finds his way to get to the ball and make his impact on the game. That's why he's so high. That's why he won the Heisman. He's not the best at either position, but he can do both incredibly well. That's why
I think long term his best position is DB. And I think if push comes to shove, homie's going to be forced to pick DB. Because that's the problem. He doesn't do anything elite offensively. So it's like, and I feel like if you're going to play offensively, I don't believe Travis Hunter does anything elite.
He's an elite separator. He has elite hands. He has elite speed.
Yeah.
maybe as a DB, but I don't believe
hear
as a
you.
receiver.
So what you mean is
come
he's
on,
not
man.
a polished receiver.
Yes.
He's not the type of guy that you're
Yes.
like. If you want him to be your receiver,
Yes.
you want him to be your number one. He's not exactly that just
Right.
yet. I understand
Right.
you there, but I still think the point is just like you said, he's a lockdown DB. We're
He's a
taking him
lockdown-
at DB, and then I'm giving him snaps on offense. It's not necessarily like I'm making him play offense the entire game. I'm just giving him. It's a handful, Zach. It's maybe 10 to 15, something like that.
Is that going to scratch his itch offensively, or is he going to bitch, hey, that's not enough for me? Because, that's the issue here at hand. He's going to want to put, right, and good for him, he's going to want to put incentives in his contract for both sides of the ball.
My thing is I wouldn't call it bitching unless it's like he's just begging for something that he shouldn't have. Like, I need to see, like, if I'm having you play defense, right? If I start to see some slippage on defense, then I can't try and sit here and allow you to up your game on offense unless you're being elite on offense. So to me, it's basically like I can't remember what one of those things called, but a weighted scale to where it's like I have to see it balance out. So if you're being elite on one side of the ball, then hell yeah, I'm gonna keep giving you snaps because somebody else can go on the other side and get cooked too. Like, this is the NFL, it's gonna happen to you regardless. But now if I can sit here and equal out your play, then hell yeah, I'm going to keep fucking playing. This is what got you here. This is the reason I'm drafting. I'm not drafting you because you're an elite corner or you're an elite DB. I'm drafting you because you were elite at both.
Yes, 100%. And Zach, I feel like you're coming at this like as if Travis Hunter is an elite DB who can play wide receiver. That's not the case. No. He's an elite DB that dominated as a wide receiver. He had 1,200 yards, 15 touchdowns.
Colorado didn't play nobody, boss. Like, they had a losing record.
He played in the Big 12. I'm not saying he won, but he's a wide receiver. What do you want him to do?
All right, let's not spend too much on this one because we're not drafting Travis Hunter anyway.
Nah, I want like 1,500 yards. I want 1,500 yards and 15 TDs, bro.
Oh my goodness.
If I'm taking you first round talent, he's a all-pro DB. That's what he's playing day one. If he wants offensive snaps, I want Pro Bowls first, dog.
He's gonna make them. He's gonna make them with both. Anyway,
I just don't buy it. Like, that's all. I don't buy it.
You'll see, bro. You'll see. I
hope I'm wrong.
We'll see who takes him and how it goes, man. Nathan's saying here he would take. Asha said who's a good offensive lineman in the first round. And Nathan was saying
Gray Zabel from North Dakota State.
Yeah, that would be one for him. I think there's Will Campbell. There's
Kevin Banks Jr. from Texas.
Kevin Banks. There's the dude out of Missouri. I can't remember. I can't. His name is difficult to pronounce, but
is it
Mimbo?
Something like that. Or Membu,
yeah, something like that. Those four, I think those are the top four. As far as offensive round. But personally, I'm not taking any of those. Give me a old boy guard out of Sac State. I like him.
He's projected to go to the Colts in the 5th round. That Jackson dude or Jackson, whatever the heck his name is from Sac State, wouldn't be mad. He's a hell of a pick.
Give me a late round guy that can dominate.
Gray Zabel probably is going to slide inside in his NFL career just because he did it during the Senior Bowl. He played both guard spots and center. So, like, dude's going to be a first-round pick just because how versatile he is.
Yeah, I think that's important, too. I think you have to have guys that are able to kind of swing inside, outside, whatever they need. But then you immediately free up a roster spot because, like, hey, this guy can play right guard or right tackle. Right. He's the backup for both,
They cannot guard Luka. He is cooking, dude. Your dad says a simple plan, take best available. I think that's
trade for Hendrickson.
Appreciate all you guys. Keep those comments coming in there.
Trade for Hendrickson.
Giving Matty yay pink papers. Yeah, get his ass out of there.
He's gone, man. He's gone. See you later.
Get him out of there.
Yeah, Ward wanted 7, and Matt Gay wasn't going to pay, so Ward had Matt Gay cut.
It will be interesting to see if Spencer Schrader gets that job full time and we don't keep shipping his ass out of town.
Bro, he got cut like 7 times last year.
I know, good Lord. But it'll be interesting to see if Schrader wins that job or if we bring somebody else in there.
Yeah, so let's jump into the next one, man. So obviously we got the great debate of linebacker or tight end going on. What do you guys have as your second you know, I don't want to say like biggest need or whatever, but what's your second position that you would like to see outside of that tight end or linebacker that everybody's been going back and forth on?
I go edge next, bro. Edge rushers. I think
Edge
we
rusher?
still need more. I think we still need more, especially with. I know Gus Bradley is gone, obviously, and thank God for that. But I do. One thing I did like about Gus was that he regularly rotated our edge rushers, so you constantly had fresh guys coming off of the edge. And I think it
Even though it
reflected
didn't
in a lot of. Huh?
Even
Well,
though it didn't work.
it worked to some degree. I understand defense was bad. I'm not making an argument for that, but specifically for sack and pressuring quarterbacks, the numbers were there. Sometimes in key moments we didn't. So obviously that's a whole other discussion. But my point being, right, I like a good rotation of 3 or 4, maybe even 5 edge rushers. And we don't have that right now. So I'd love to add another, top talent there, especially to pair with Latu, for the long-term future. So I think edge rush would be my next biggest need personally.
What about you, Zach?
I would do edge rusher or DB because I truly believe you can never have enough. I personally lean more DB into than edge rusher because we got some young guys who I'd like to see, like that Isaiah Hand kid. I would like to see him, pop off.
For sure.
Latu, I think, could pop off. We also have Ibukam coming back. And then I don't believe the Colts are done adding in free agency when it comes to linebackers. Or not linebackers, but edge rushers. There'll always be someone they sign.
Sure.
So any one of those positions I would like to see addressed. But I don't have one specific need going forward outside of tight end. I mean, everything else is just gravy. Go BPA and I'd be happy.
Yeah, I'm definitely with you there. I like cornerback. I think you guys have heard me say it there. I want Will Johnson there, or maybe if it's even something a little bit later. But I also think that edge is a big need, which is why I wouldn't be totally mad about some of the positions that we've discussed. The only one that I did take issue with is just because of the fact that I don't think we should go offensive lineman in the first round. Just seeing some of the things that we can kind of really upgrade on, whether that be safety, whether that be cornerback, whether that be edge, whether that be linebacker, whether it be tight end. I just think like if you really think O-line is going to be that big of an issue at right guard, I should say, I think you just take one in the second round that you really like. So that's where I was at with that position. Nathan,
would you double dip?
Will we bring? What would you say?
Would you double dip? Would you go back-to-back tight end? Let's say
no, I wouldn't.
Let's say you get Warren at 14, and then Gunnar Helms there in the second. We really like him, or Mason Taylor's there in the second.
We go back to back tight end. I will fly to Indianapolis and fight Ballard straight up. I will go to jail. No,
I mean,
hell no.
Just think of the depth, though. Like, if we're not concerned about any other position other than edge rusher and being, the quality, because how many dudes are there, and even with DB, we're talking like, dude, you brought up last week, Ben Morrison or whatever the heck it is from Notre Dame is still
Ben
there.
Morrison might be there,
and he could
Xavier Watts might be there, bro.
He could be a third-round pick. Why not double up on tight end if you can, and just come out and do the old, I see no reason why not. Like if it's there and he's the best player on your best player on your board, I see no reason why not just double up and take a tight end there first and second round.
I hear you, I do, but I think my thing is we haven't shown that look before, or at least not efficiently. And you could blame the personnel we have, certainly with the tight ends we had in the past that just didn't do enough, had too many drops, so on and so forth. But we don't have a ton of success running 2 tight end sets. And even if we did, I think at this point, because we brought Mo Alley-Cox back, I think you still see him as tight end 2, whether we think he should be or not. I think he's still a regular snaps player in that. So if you draft a second guy in the second round, I think he's probably tight end 3. So now we went from, we can get starters through 3, maybe even 4 rounds to in the second round, we want to take a guy who's probably the 3rd in the rotation. That wouldn't really sit well with me. I see where you're at with if the talent is there. I get it because it is a deep position group, but I think there's so many other ways you can go there. I would not double dip at tight end though.
I just think Ballard would be writing his obituary and telling me that he want to get fired if he dropped.
I just look at it like, we're talking about BPA and taking best player available. Well,
the best player available.
There's a real good possibility the tight end could be the best dude on the board.
I don't think so, man. I'll tell you what.
Look. So I've said it before. Like you could take 2 tight ends. I wouldn't be mad at it. But if you did, you take one in a different round. So There's just like you can
Well,
get
it is a different round than
Tyler
second round.
Warren. No, I mean like later round, way
Oh, I feel you.
later on. So like you can easily get
Let's look at these tight ends.
What the Patriots did a couple years ago when they took Gronk in the first, and then they took like Brandon LaFell in the second, and then they took Hernandez in the third.
Aaron Hernandez in the first, and I think it was Gronk in like the fourth or something like that.
Bro, because I think you can get a guy like Gadsden out of Syracuse or Luke Lackey out of Iowa. I think you can get them in the mid rounds if you really want to double dip at tight end.
Right. I fully expect Indianapolis too. I really believe this draft is going to be a draft that makes everybody mad because it's going to be tight ends and trench warfare.
I don't understand to do that because you still got Ogletree and Woods on the roster, so I don't see the point to do that.
It's the first year
you just signed Mo Ali Cox, so why would you have those three and then take two in the first two rounds? That just isn't logical to me.
I think you can take two tight ends, but if you do, that second one is in the 6th or 7th round.
No, that's why I said the first two rounds.
I agree. I agree. But like
fifth round, then I totally understand.
Bro, I'm looking through these guys that are available right now. I mean, Brent Kuth out of Utah, he was a good like 2 years ago. He was very good, and then this past
there's a guy out of Oregon too.
To me, there's.
Sorry, what's the name?
Out of Oregon,
Out of Oregon, Ferguson. Well, they have him a little bit higher up, but. I mean, there's a lot of guys. There's a lot of guys.
I just look at it like
out of North Carolina, he was solid. You could get
to me. This entire position needs redone. So like, I'm not keeping anybody. I was pissed they brought Mo back because I'm like, Ogletree's getting cut, Woods is getting cut, Mallory, my boy from Miami, he's getting cut. Like, you let Granson walk. There's nobody in that room that I would want to touch again. So. To me, my thought is, tight end's it. Why not go get two of them? And why not say we weren't good at running double tight formation, so we're going to get two of them, and we're going to line up what the old Colts used to or what the Patriots used to, and we're just going to run 12 personnel all damn day up and down the field and force you to stop us with two elite guys who can pass well and block well and force you to play base defense and make the reads real simple for AR or whoever the hell the quarterback is and use our offensive line and physically just bludgeon people with our running backs. That's how I look at it. Like, why not just
good to me, bro.
Why not just
I'm not trying to say you're wrong or your idea of thinking is wrong at all. Like, I'm totally with you. I'm fine with doubling down on a position. I just
don't want it back to back
in the first two rounds. That's the only thing that I wouldn't do.
And with the depth of the position, I do believe you're right. Like, the Colts probably will double dip at tight end, but it'll probably be, hey, we got one in the first. We're not going to address it again in the fourth, or we're not going to address it again until the fourth or fifth when the dude's there and his falls in our lap. Yeah, I 100% agree.
And then you get two dogs for the price of really sitting and wait.
Right. I just didn't know how you guys felt at double dipping at tight end. If it was cool, if you guys wanted to hit it back to back. Like not the Patriots did.
But two overall, yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I'd be down for that. Everything you said, bro, is making me light up, dude. I'm with it.
I mean,
12 personnel, run people over with the guys we have, and Jonathan Taylor in the backfield. How do you not love that?
That's how this team is built. So I just look at it like you guys are on the same page as I am. I'm just, I have no problem going first and second round back-to-back tight end. You guys don't want to do that. You want to go tight end.
A little later. I think you can
take a couple dudes and then go and dip again and tight end if there's one that you really like who's available that's a difference maker. Sure, 100%.
Yeah, like if we were to come away with like a Tyler Warren or a Mason Taylor in the first few rounds, I totally wouldn't be mad with like spinning the block and getting a guy like a Mitchell Evans or Mitchell Evans out of Notre Dame or like a Luke Lackey out of Iowa. So I wouldn't be mad at going back and getting one of those guys, something like that. I just think that there's nothing wrong with that. Just like I've even said before, like we can end up drafting two running backs. It's not something that I would be mad about as far as doubling down goes. So totally with you there.
Speaking of running backs, do you even think the Colts hit that in the draft, or do you think they get one undrafted? Just because how crazy this depth is, bro. Like, might be the deepest position in the draft this year is running back. Like, the year of the running back is back. Saquon and JT and
but see, that's Henry my thing though, Zach.
put it on the map. Like, do you really wait? In my opinion, I think it's a wasted pick this year, unless you're going to get like Omarion Hampton, Travion Henderson, Judkins, or
That's the
JT.
thing. You might. It might be
it's
in the
a
third
wasted
round.
pick, bro. There's no way in hell I'm investing in a running back this year because I really believe you can get an absolute dog who's going to be undrafted and be a stud and come in and dominate during camp.
I hear you, but then the question is like, if you sit and wait and you think you get a guy undrafted, what if you end up missing out? And then in one of the deepest running back classes, you don't get a single guy. That's tough too. So that's why I look at like fourth round, maybe you can probably snag a guy and get really an elite playmaker.
No, we have to come away with a running back. If we don't,
you really think so?
Yeah,
even with JT and Barrett or whoever the hell he is, Herbert that we signed in free agency.
Yeah, absolutely.
You still think they need another running back?
You have to get some young, fresh legs. I told you guys several times last year. Like think about Bucky Brooks alone, or Bucky Irving alone. Yeah, I told you guys multiple times last year we should have drafted him. He ended up having 1,000 yards. Was 1,300 total. Led the Bucs offense as a running back. Like, it was just one of those things that I kept saying. There was multiple guys. Isaac Guerrero, he started a few games for the 49ers. His speed was absolutely showcased, and the 49ers offensive line wasn't even as good as it has been past years or how it was supposed to be, and he was playing well. Plenty of other guys that I said that we should have taken out running back. We just have to stop missing on just taking one. Like, running backs to me are becoming like wide receivers. You just take one because you could hit on the guy and could be really good, especially if he has speed. If a guy has game-breaking speed, there's no reason I shouldn't take you unless you have like fumbling issues, vision issues,
something really wrong.
Something that just makes you look wrong. And in this draft, I can rattle them. Oh,
there's so many dudes. There's so many.
Like Omarion Hampton, Dylan Sampson, Jordan James, Travion Henderson, Quentin Judkins, Devin Neal, Brashad Smith. I mean, like, there's so many of them that I am willing to say that we should have by the 5th or 6th round. There's just absolutely no reason not to. It's just too many. And the reason why I didn't name some of these other guys that I do also have on this list is just because their speed isn't necessarily there. Like, I don't want to take one of the
Ollie Gordon,
slower kind of like a power back kind of guy. Yeah, Ollie Gordon, Caleb Johnson,
which are still great talents, by the way.
Taj Brooks, Kalen Mullings. There's plenty of guys that have talent that, hey, if we took them, I'm not going to be mad because they're still really good players and our offensive line can get them. It's just I want some of that game-breaking speed, kind of like to where it's not always just JT. And Khalil Herbert, I think he's good. I think he has some speed, but I really see him as a guy who probably might get more, like, his ratio might be more catches to runs
than touches.
So, like, I just think that, like, there's too many guys to just walk away from in this draft and just be like, oh, we didn't get the like I feel like if we can come away with a Dylan Sampson, our running back room would be crazy. Like, if we came in with Henderson, I might cry if we got him.
Well, that's who I want. That's who I want from Ohio State. Like, he
is like Jahmyr Gibbs to me when I watch him. Like, his explosion.
My thing is there, though. I think those elite prospects, I think we miss out on those just because we're looking at other positions. But when you get to round 4, round 5, and there's still very good college players available, I think that's where we start looking at running back. So I feel like we miss out on a guy like Henderson or a guy like Genty, some of the other names you've mentioned.
Damian Martinez.
He's
so many he's like next level guys that are just a tier below that are going to be perfect.
He has no speed, but he's a bigger dude. Ashley keeps talking about my boy Scadaboo. Bro ran a 4.8. He is a fullback at the next level. It hurts.
He ran a 4.6.
It hurts me to say that. Dude is slow. He's a fullback at the next level. But I do love some Cam Scadaboo.
I'm just
drop the ball.
I just see how much like depth there is at running back, and that's why I argue: is it a wasted pick to take one, or would you employ it? Would you employ the Colts to take one in the second round? Would you say, "Hey,
second? No, I'm not going early.
Yeah.
I'm not going early.
I would.
Look, man.
If Travion Henderson is there in the second round, I'm dropping a second round pick on him, dude.
If Omarion Hampton Travion Henderson, if one of those guys was sitting there in round 2, I would not be mad at Ballard for spending that pick there.
Not mad.
Really
not mad.
I really
the
would
only
not.
reason I say I'm
we
not
also
going
got
with
Dave
these
Stewart
guys.
saying here I would use a 5th on a running back.
Yeah.
You really get a good guy and don't miss out.
Well, and especially brought in what's his name, Herbert. That's
Herbert.
A solid RB2 where I'm not like stressing about it like getting a guy early. I feel like you can wait. Now again, I'm not mad. You know, you tell me we get a guy like that round 2. I'm over the moon with you guys. I'm celebrating in the group chat, you know, but I think that's a position you can wait. But I think, yes, you got to take one just because of the depth there. I hear what you're saying. You could wait and get a guy undrafted.
It's just
but you could miss him completely. And you don't want to miss a guy in this class when there's
I think it's just a chance to also get some young, fresh legs that could potentially be a starter, which is, I mean, behind our offensive
down
line,
the stretch of the season.
Like look at some of the last 2 guys that we've had, Trey Sermon and Zach Moss, to come in and do what they've been able to do behind our offensive line. I wouldn't want to waste it when you can sit here. And
the Colts revived Zach Moss's career. Like, he can thank the Indianapolis Colts for that paycheck
for that contract that he got. And I told everybody he's gonna go to Cincy and disappear, and ain't did nobody hear his damn name no more. Like, quit playing with me, bro. Like, our offensive line is that good. I'm telling you right now. If you got a good running back, an offensive line gonna make him great. If you got a great running back, that offensive line gonna make him elite. Stop playing. Like, it's one of those things where I just think that, like, if we can take a pass off of a quarterback or two to turn it into a run that could be a 15, 20-yard, 60-yard gain, I just think it's one of those things that you just have to do. Like, I think you got to come away with one of those.
It's just one of those positions that I don't believe it's really a necessary need for Colts, and it's kind of a luxury pick. But at the same time, like, I'm like with DeMarco. I mean, there's a part of me that I would love to go and get a dude early. I would be not opposed to doing it, but at the same time, like, I feel like this running back class is so elite. Drafting a running back could end up being a wasted pick because I feel like there's going to be some talent that's just going to be there, and you're going to be like, holy hell, this dude didn't get drafted, this dude didn't get drafted. I mean, in that case, it's the more the merrier.
Okay, so Zach, so tell me this though, like with the wasted pick, as far as it being luxury, when you draft a guy, right, and it's not necessarily something that you need. If he turns out to be a good player, is it ever a waste?
No. Well, yes and no.
No, it's not a waste because you get a good player for one, and then 2, you get production, and does that production will likely add up to wins. So I just don't think there's ever a chance that you can say, oh, we wasted on this. Now, if the guy doesn't work out and he plays like 100 snaps over 4 years, and then he basically walks in free agency, then I'm with you. I look
at it like a wasted pick is you're not getting as much production as you possibly could from a dude from another position you could have addressed, elsewhere.
Sure.
That's the only term that I use, wasted pick, in that example. Like, picks aren't going to work out all the time. But at the same time, I agree with your point, DeMarco, about getting a dude who's a difference maker, and I would prefer that. But at the same time, I know that I'm the kind of the one that has the weird draft takes. It's all like, bro, would you double up and do this or that? And you guys are like, no, yes, no, maybe. It all just depends. But I look at it like,
love Omarion Hampton, Ash.
Yeah, he's a dog. I just don't think the Colts will draft him. He reminds me.
I don't think he's going to be somebody that we have a chance.
He reminds me a lot of Bernard, the dude with the Colt or the dude with the Bengals. That Vontaze Davis broke his back a couple years ago when
Giovanni Bernard.
Yeah, Giovanni Bernard.
Okay.
When he was coming out with he reminds me a lot of Giovanni Bernard.
Man, I'll tell y'all guys what though. I've just been kind of looking through these running back rankings as we spoke. I done found a new favorite player in the 5th, 6th round, man. This guy Bashul Tootin out of Virginia Tech. He's been a starter the last 3 years.
4.2.
Oh yeah, I like him too.
4.2, 2,000-yard seasons, multiple three double-digit touchdown seasons. Like, dude has reps, has experience, has won, and is a freak athlete. And they're talking about he's a day 3 pick. Man, give me Bashul Tootin, dude. I've never even watched this guy play, but just looking at the numbers, I'm all about that.
I mean, that's why I say there's some dudes there that, I mean.
We got you, Ash.
I see you actually writing it 7 times in the comments. Heard Omarion? Isn't he an R&B singer?
He's great. He's a great player.
I think
somebody asked him if that's I want to say it was on Club Shay Shay. One of the guys asked him if that's where his name came from.
Yeah, I think he's
That's
a
hilarious.
R&B singer, Omarion, back in the day or early 2000s. If you don't know, you know. But yeah,
No, he's a great player, bro. He's a great
there's just
player. I
some
just don't think he's
dogs.
gonna fall
Like
to us.
that's why I'm curious. Yo, do you even wait? Do you even draft a running back? Like with how good this depth is, do you even draft one because you know there's gonna be guys there?
I do hear you. I swear I do. I think you have to in that 5 to 7 range because like we talk about value of picks, right? And the possibility of getting a contributor in the 4th, 5th, 6th round.
Right.
This is a position where you can do so, right? So I do hear you. Like you can get a guy undrafted and he can work his way into the rotation and end up being an NFL guy. Absolutely. But if you quote unquote reach a little bit and get a guy like we're talking about Tutul, who's my new favorite player. I don't even know if I'm saying his name right.
Tootin'.
Tootle. Yeah. If you get a guy like that in the 5th round, where realistically his stats and his combine, his physicality, everything should probably have a much higher. And then that guy works his way up to be your RB2. You know, that's huge value for a 5th, 6th round pick. And you can get a guy like that. So that's why I say you have to take one. Because he's not the only guy like that either. There's multiple players I think
there's a ton
that kind of impact at this position. So I think you absolutely take a running back, but I think you wait to the 5th, 6th round, and I think you get an incredible return on a lot of these guys. So I think you absolutely have to take one though.
That boy Jay McDaniels is hooping.
Fair enough.
But
the only other draft question I had. I like what Josh Senior said. We take Warren in the 1st, and then we trade up in the 2nd. Get Cole. Absolutely, dog. I just said this. Let's double up and get 2 tight ends. Absolutely, Josh. I just said this.
Hey, Josh, just put the conversation back like 15 minutes. And
I know you're trolling, bud, but I just said this. I'm all for this. I'm all for this. No, the only other draft questions I have was like, I keep seeing mock drafts where they got the Colts drafting a kicker.
No,
I won't do it. Your thoughts on D-line, like interior defensive linemen, is this a position that you see the Colts actually draft?
Walton, Nolan,
yeah. Do you actually see the Colts draft an interior defensive lineman this year? Because Grover's getting old, Buckner's getting old, and we really don't have very good depth behind them. Like to me, that you could technically say that's a arguably the 2nd biggest need on the team. Outside edge, okay, maybe, but like outside of tight end, if Grover gets hurt or Buckner gets hurt, we really ain't got a dude to answer that question. They just cut Roquan Davis, and it's not been addressed.
I think
you the problem count out Ballard going in the trenches. Go ahead, Trey.
Yeah, I think the problem, at least, I mean, I can speak for myself. I feel like other Colts fans would probably relate to this. Like, the reason we haven't looked at D-tackle as a need is just because of how consistent and just incredible Grover and Buckner have been. And I take nothing away from that. But Father Time is undefeated, man. Like, as these guys get a little bit older, eventually we're going to see a production fall off. I don't think it's this year. I certainly hope it's not this year for either one of them. But I do think it makes sense to get a guy now who probably won't see a ton of action, but he'll kind of be a rotational guy. But you let him learn. And then, you know, the next year, whenever that decline starts to inevitably happen, then you have a guy who's already, you know, 2, maybe 3 years into the system who's ready to go.
In my opinion, and I've said this before, and I get hated on it all the time. I think if you see a fall off, it'll be from Buckner first before it ever comes from Big Grove.
Really?
I do. Just because, like, you got Buckner basically when he was entering his prime from San Francisco.
Sure.
And now I think he's my age. He's 30. He might be a couple years younger.
He's exactly 30.
Right. So this is technically like the last year of his prime. Now, defensive linemen do defensive linemen do tend to age like fine wine, you know. So like, it is one of those things where you
Campbell 39.
Right. You could probably go until 30, 32. But
I do both 31, and
I do agree with you, Trev. I would much rather draft 2 dudes, either in this year's draft or next year's draft, and have them play a couple of years, and then, you know, set them up and say, hey, guys, this is the final ride for you, you know, because we're not going to pay. I don't believe the Colts will pay Buckner again after this season. I truly believe he's gone.
Really?
And then I do, because
Nah, they just gave him
to a 1 year deal. To a one after next season, he's done.
No, it was supposed to be 3 years. And then it's supposed to be 2 years after this. So
Really?
him and Grover are supposed to be locked up until they're 33.
Fair enough. Well, if that's the case, then yeah, I would draft one guy now this year and let him get a couple years and be a rotational piece, and then draft another guy.
We get our hands on like a Talik Williams or a Deion
I was just
Walker.
looking at it, man, or TJ Sanders out of South Carolina. These are good players, man. That you could probably get in the second, maybe third round.
Later on is CJ West. To come in and be a guy that can replace Big Grove at IU. You know,
I just look at it.
Guys that can be some picks. We got to know. We know Ballard. We know for two things for sure, two things for certain. He's gonna build in the trenches. So we're gonna see offensive linemen get drafted. We're gonna see some defensive linemen get drafted. We're likely gonna trade back at some point in the draft. And then we're gonna add some picks because he's never came away with just 7 picks. So
this is going to be a Ballard draft, folks. It's going to be boring. It's going to piss you off because you're going to see teams make outside of the first round pick. I don't believe the Colts take a skill position until like round 4. Like I truly believe it'll be Warren, and then it'll be they're either going to trade back to add more picks, draft a D lineman, draft an offensive lineman, and then finally address a corner. Finally address a running back.
Understand though, our skill positions are pretty decent right now. Yeah. Like our wide receivers are good. We have one of the best running backs in the game, and our defensive back room is finally not trash. Right? I fully believe we'll add a guy there, but like overall, our skill positions are decent. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So you add front 7, you add some guys in the trenches. Like that's
this really draft is tailor made for Chris Ballard. This is another
home run.
This is another draft where I could fully see him coming back in 2 years and saying, "Hey, Ballard hit on that 2018 draft where he turned around and did it in 2024 and or 2025 and got multiple studs of multiple round picks." Like I fully expect stuff to be done. Sean says, "I doubt we see anything else at the."
Dave Stewart said here, injuries prove we need inside D-line help.
Absolutely, 100%. Sean Cochran said, I doubt we see anything else at the cornerback position. Oh, I don't. You can never have too many DBs, bro. I would love to see them take a corner, a safety, another nickel. I have no problem.
I think we're taking at least one.
I have them no problem adding another safety, another corner. My boy from Virginia My boy from Virginia, who I've been crazy high on,
Jonas Sanker.
Yeah, Jonas Sanker. I would love to see Sanker. I would love to see him. Yeah, he ran like a 4.8, 4.7, 4.6, something.
He ran like Scatterbo.
Yeah, something slow. I would love to see him just as a late round pick because like he provides a need. He tackles well, and he plays within the box well, and you can never have enough box safeties. Just adding depth there at this point in that time in the draft, adding depth is such a premium because you never know. You never know when you get two guys. You get 2 guys who are hurt, and
suddenly that guy's starting.
Right, suddenly that dude's starting, and you're like, well, damn, because I'm still not sold on Nick Cross. He only had 1 good year. Homie's got to do it again before
and now we're changing the scheme.
Right. Homie's got to do it again before I start singing his praises. So, to me, that other safety spot is wide open. You got Cam Bynum and who else? Because until Cross does it a second time, you're not going to hear you're not going to hear me sing his praises.
Right. Another reason why I would love to see Nick Emanwari, Xavier Watts.
Xavier Watts in the second, bro. Come on.
Or Makuba. There's a few guys. I'm also kind of high on Kevin Winston Jr. as well. So there's a few guys I really like at safety. So
now,
I don't think there's anything that is above our taking. I really don't.
Oh, absolutely, yeah, no. Absolutely. Everything is on the table at this point.
Outside of tight end and right guard, we don't really have a glaring need outside of those 2.
We just got to get better. We need playmakers. We need some depth for sure, but we need playmakers. We need guys who are going to have an impact.
Starters.
I do want to say though, because we were looking at defensive tackles. Now, DeMarco, this one's for you because this is your guy. I'm talking 6'5", 464 pounds. Is Desmond Watson worth a mid-round pick, or is it all hype because of his size?
It's all hype because of his size.
Damn. I want to believe, bro.
Like, I don't know. I just don't like. I thought he was good in college and whatnot for what he could do, but I just don't think at that size. I don't know if that's NFL, type of.
For what it's worth, at nearly 500 pounds, this guy ran a 5.940, a 5.940 for that size. I mean, that's not.
He ran almost as fast as Xavier Restrepo. I think it was.
Yeah. As a dude that big, so I mean, I give him his credit. Let's say he's there. Let's say he's there in the 6th round. Do you take a winger on him just because of what he might be able to do? I feel like I would.
Because he's got elite size, bro. You can't teach that.
He plugs a hole by himself.
He takes up the A gap and the B gap. You can run a 3-man front.
Bro. Goal line defense,
right.
That's what's intriguing to me. Now, I fully understand, like, if he can even see the field, if he has health issues.
You could run a 3-man front and put Buckner, Osama bin Tubby in the center, and then have Grover right there, and that would
be perfect to stop the tush push with him.
Right,
that's what I'm saying, bro. You got to consider.
But we're not in the NFC East though, so like that's why.
No, but if we meet Philly in the Super Bowl, you got to think ahead, bro. You got to think positive. We need him just for that.
We got a question here from Dave. He was saying, who was the corner that tore a knee part of a year, but was slated to be a top 10 pick? I believe that was Revel
from ECU, bro.
Yeah,
both guys really. Yeah, Revel out of ECU and then Benjamin Morrison.
Shabon Revel out of ECU. I believe that was him that you're talking about.
Stud.
Also, Ben Morrison, who had the hip.
Yeah.
As well, but not the knee. So if you're talking about the knee for sure, I'm pretty sure you're talking about Revel.
Yeah.
Either way,
who did you say, Trev?
I was saying Ben Morrison. I forgot it was the hip though. You're right. It wasn't his knee. But I think either one of those guys, if they slide a little bit, they slide.
There's also Max Hairston. I like Max Hairston out of Kentucky.
Speed, dude. You want to talk speed? That guy might be the fastest corner. He ran a 4.2 something. I mean, Kentucky was horrible, but they
got a receiver who's nice.
Who, Kentucky?
Yeah.
I'm not sure I know who you're talking about. Let me go look.
They got a receiver who's nice. Who I'm all like, he can't be any worse than AD because AD was cheeks last year.
I think AD's going to step it up, man. I mean, we don't want to go the Alec Pierce route again where everyone's shitting on him and then, he turns up. I think, who the hell are you talking? I can't find no one.
I do because that's exactly what he did. Everyone pooped all over him.
I think a lot of people have been slotting him in the 2nd round, at least for like mock drafts and stuff.
Let me find him. Hold on.
Yeah, I don't see no receivers from Kentucky, bro. You might have thought that one up. But Max Harrison, I would be cool with Max Harrison. I mean, that's a lot of speed.
Ash, I'm watching the Lakers and Wolves right now. The Wolves on a nice little hot run.
Yeah, never mind. It's
Lakers
Nash.
Time off.
You said what?
It's Nick Nash from San Jose State.
Oh
man, that is so far apart. You said Kentucky.
Yeah,
I thought he was from Kentucky.
That's the difference.
I recognize the name.
Yeah. Nathan said who's gonna be BR? What's BR? Am I tripping?
Baton Rouge, baby, go Tigers. I have no idea.
It was BR. I don't know what BR is name. But yeah, Zach, Nick Nash, he's not bad, but I want to say almost all of his big games or all of his yardage came against terrible teams, and he's already in a small school.
Right. I mean, there's another.
I think some people still had him high, but I don't know where he's gonna get.
I mean, he led the nation in receiving this year. Yeah. That's why I say that. And then a dude I was absolutely in love with during the college football playoffs, just because I thought he played well. Bo Collins from Notre Dame. Yeah. But did he do anything, or was he only good in the playoff game?
He played well, and you got to think too. He was a contributor.
I like Jalen Royals at Utah State. That's my guy.
Yeah, also a good player. I mean, you can go a lot of guys at receiver.
Nathan, there's no competition for Schrader, man. We don't even need to worry about it. If he sucks, get rid of him.
I think there's a lot of guys available just across the league right now. You can go sign freaking Destroying out of the UFL, get anyway.
Speaking of UFL, I meant to say it earlier, but Blankenship boy can actually hit 50s now. He had a 56-yarder the other day.
Yeah, he's working on that. he
Fool me one time, shame on you. Fool me twice. Nah, he can keep.
No, I wasn't
Legos
saying
and
take him. I
stuff.
was just saying it was shocking to see him hit it. 'Cause I was like,
Yeah.
oh, now you can fucking hit 50s,
Yeah.
bro.
Hey, good for him, bro. Good for him. He was always a nice guy. But
That says, do we still have Daniel Scott? We do, but he's coming off another injury, so you know,
he just horrible luck, man.
He just has the worst luck. He can't even make it to camp.
Sucks. Hasn't taken a single snap for the Colts. I mean, it's super unfortunate. But
Also,
what
like
else?
Jaden Higgins out of Iowa State.
Jack Kaiser, I really like from Notre Dame. I think
He's a little older, I think, right?
Yeah,
But,
he's
I
gonna
mean,
be.
he's a good tackler.
I think he's gonna be elite.
He's signing up for retirement and be working with me pretty soon.
Yeah, but if you can get that guy, 7th round or undrafted or something, if he slides because of his age, excuse me, yeah, man, I take.
I like Danny Stutzman from Oklahoma.
I like him as well, and I like Jay Higgins is my kind of late round pick at a linebacker out of Iowa.
Jaden Higgins, that's my guy out of Iowa State.
He's an Indiana boy.
Jay
He's
Higgins,
a stud.
Jay Higgins.
Yeah, he's an Indiana boy. He played his ball he played his high school ball in Indiana.
Right here, hometown Indianapolis. Hey, bring him home, man. I think you can get that guy in the mid rounds. And we're talking about linebackers. I mean, he's a great tackler. Played
he's
great
Zaire
for
Franklin.
Iowa. I mean, yeah, it's a fair comp. I don't know. I don't know how he is in the pass game, but I know I've watched him smack dudes. He's able to wrap up well. You don't see him miss a lot of tackles. So, and that's something that we struggled with this past year was missing tackles. So I'd love to get a guy like Jay Higgins in.
Sean is saying here, Kaiser is great in coverage. Kaiser what?
Jack Kaiser, linebacker at Notre Dame.
He's from Indiana too. He's a 5th-year senior, but he's really he's a really good off-ball linebacker. So he's again one of those guys where if you don't like Jalen Carlisle or whatever, you could plug in a dude like Kaiser, and I believe he would be successful. Bro's incredibly smart, so he'd figure it out. I mean, he tried to be a Rhodes Scholar, if that tells you anything. Like that's hard to do. So
yeah, for sure. There's a lot of good picks, man. We got it coming up here soon.
Exciting.
Got next week. It's on the way. It's
Thursday, right? This coming Thursday.
Yes, sir.
Yes, it is.
Yes, sir. Thursday.
So we can talk about as some new Colts coming to the building.
I'll be at work working. Tried to get that night off. Didn't work out. That's my Friday. I was all like, let me get this night off. And they were all like, no can do. So I'll be at work probably all weekend. Oh, joy.
Celebrating when we get the next great class of Colts.
For sure.
Yeah.
But appreciate everybody. Appreciate all you guys coming through, sticking with us through another two-way show on here. Appreciate my guys for coming out. But yeah, we look forward to the draft coming up this Thursday, man. Appreciate everybody. We were going to try and get a draft show, but looks like we won't be able to do that this year. But yeah, appreciate everybody, man. We'll see you guys on the following Saturday, though. We'll be able to discuss all picks. We'll actually have everybody to discuss 1st through 7th. So appreciate all the
post-draft show next Saturday.
Yeah,
draft reactions. If you're mad about who we took or happy about who we took, you tune in next Saturday.
Hey.
Yes, sir.
I was just thinking of seeing prospects and names and hoping the Colts don't take DJ Uiagalelei. Like, I'd be mad, but
we can't end on that. Hey, Jay Higgins out of Iowa. Xavier Watts out of Notre Dame.
I'm just trying to think of the most Colts moves they could possibly make, and I feel like DJU to the Colts might have.
Stop saying the name, man. Stop saying the name.
Dave. Appreciate
Tyler
you.
Warren.
Hey, peace out, man. Hope y'all have a good draft weekend.
Yeah,
I'll see y'all next Saturday, man.
Appreciate everybody. As always, go Colts.
Second down, he fakes the Taylor, fires over the middle, complete.